What's up, everybody? Coach Ceelo here on episode 19 of the No Bullshit Six Figure Sales Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of you may be going through with. Now, when I mean a lot of you, remember, this podcast was created for those that want to reach, maintain, and stay at six figures. So if you're trying to get to six figures and you haven't, or you've barely done it and then you kind of scoop back down, this is for you. Today we're going to talk about something that I struggled with when I started, first crowning six figures. And so hopefully you haven't dealt with it, but during your sales career, you probably would. All the top performers I know at some point in time had to wrestle with this. So today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. First, let's talk about what imposter syndrome is. Imposter syndrome is that you feel like you're a fake, right? So here you are, you've manifested your way, you've worked your ass on yourself, you've worked your presentation, you've done the self-development, you studied your product, you studied your pitch, you did everything to finally get to where you're at. And all of a sudden, you get a great big check, bigger than you've ever gotten before. Maybe it was a $5,000 check. Maybe it was a $10,000 check. Maybe it was a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. It doesn't matter. The number's different for every person. But what I'm saying is, you got this one check for the week or for the bi-weekly or maybe monthly if some of you get paid monthly. I hope you don't, but whatever. All of a sudden, it was this big check. You get super excited. You get super elated. And then you feel weird. Something doesn't feel right. You get like a little sinking feeling in your chest. I hope they don't figure it out. How'd I do this? How'd I get here? You start doubting yourself. Man, I'm a fake. I hope they don't realize that I'm a fake. Do they know I'm faking? Do they know I'm not supposed to be here? I wonder how long, and then you start getting scarcity. How long can I continue to fake this? How long can I continue to do this? And those, by the way, are very, very common feelings the very first time that you make that big check that you're trying, and you take that first leap, guys. And it's called the imposter syndrome. It literally means that you feel like an imposter, like you're a fake, like you're not supposed to be there. And the reason why you're feeling it is because it's the first time that you've done it. So all of the limiting beliefs, all of the feelings and issues of worthiness that you may or may not have, they're all creeping up at that moment, and they're all trying to mess with your head. And if you don't check it right then and there, it's going to continue to mess with you for the rest of your life. So it's important for your career. Absolutely, it's important for your career, but it's important for your life as well. You have to see yourself as the person that is worthy of all of those things. This is what you've been working for. You were waiting for this. And then all of a sudden, it gets here and you get all excited about it and it's hardly there and you're already struggling with doing it. One of the industries that I worked in, they had this phrase. They called it calling in sick rich. And their idea was that if you hit a big check, if you hit a big point, that immediately you call in sick rich, meaning you called in sick and you celebrated having reached that area. Because what happened typically in that industry is that when somebody broke through and broke through one of the, and by the way, it's not an industry standard, it's not an industry number, it's not the dude sitting next to you's number or the gal in the desk behind you. It's your number. It's your mental thermostat. Listen, T. Harv Eker wrote a book called, I don't remember if it was The Secret of Getting Rich or The Secret of the Millionaire Mind, I think it was. Not 100% sure. It's been many years. But anyway, it talks about having a mental thermostat, right? Just like the air conditioner has a thermostat, you set that baby on automatic and it could fluctuate a little bit up, a little bit down, but that's your thermostat. So the minute that you broke through that thermostat and now you catapulted above, great. But guess what the thermostat's going to do immediately afterwards? If it gets too hot, it's going to turn on the air to cool it back down. If it gets too cold, it's going to turn on the heater to warm it back up. So they wanted you to call in rich so that if you broke the thermostat, you immediately went out, spent some money, enjoyed it, and came back refreshed to do it all over again. Because if not, you may actually sabotage yourself. And that's what imposter syndrome is. So, imposter syndrome is feeling like you don't deserve it, feeling like you've got some limiting beliefs, or, listen, everybody talks about fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. And yeah, a lot of times you do have to have that kind of attitude of faking it till you make it because you're not there yet. But don't think about it as fake it till you make it because that's inauthentic. Think about faith it till you make it. You have faith in yourself that you are going to reach a certain level. And by the way, you haven't even made it yet. That just means that you broke through the very first time, right? So the very first step in this is to be aware that it's happening. Don't get all in your feelings now and oh my God, and crap, I just did this. This is great, but what if a bunch of them kick, or what if a bunch of them, they decide they want a refund, and then I'm gonna have to pay all this money back. And oh my God, let me switch the money from one bank account to another. Guys, that's stinking thinking. You got yourself there. You got yourself there with hard work, with work on yourself, with work on your pitch, with work on your company. You have to know that you deserve this. But in a deep down psychological level, there are parts of you, emotional parts of you, that have not figured that out yet. So the first thing that I want you guys to do, you don't have to call in rich. You don't have to do that. It's not a bad idea though. It's a quick fix to give yourself time for your mind and body to adjust. You don't have to do that. What I do want you to do is I want you to immediately realize when that dread sinks in. The minute after you were super happy that you made that money and that you cashed in that check, the very next thing I want you to do is enjoy it. But the minute that you feel that sinking feeling, acknowledge it and be like, here's what Coach Ceelo was talking about. All right. Understand that that is not you that's having that. Listen, your brain messes with you all the time. You guys have heard me talk about how society is always trying to brainwash you, so you might as well brainwash yourself in the things that serve you, right? This is one of those things. Your brain is just an amazing computer that does things that you're aware of and that you're not aware of. Right now, you're breathing. You don't have to think that you're breathing. You're just breathing. Your heart's beating. You don't have to think that your heart's beating. It beats. It's gonna beat without you. Thank God, right? So the brain is an amazing computer. There's a subconscious part to it that does all the things that it needs for life support, and then there's a conscious part to it. But your brain is still a computer. It does what you ask it to do. It shouldn't be the other way around. All right. You don't do what it says, it does what you do. That's a conversation for a whole other topic that's already borderlining on neuroplasticity and a little bit of the woo woo and everything else. But understand that how you ask questions to yourself will determine all of your outcomes. Here's what I mean by this. If you're having a bad week and you ask your brain, why am I having such a bad week? Get ready. Shitstorm is coming. It is going to compute every single freaking reason why you've been having a bad week, or even reasons that don't make sense. It's going to give you every possible answer of why you're having a bad week, and it's going to reinforce that. Now, you take the same situation, and you, instead of asking yourself something as negative as that, you simply ask your brain, what do I need to do to get out of the funk that I've been in this week? And guess what it's going to do? It's not going to focus on all the possible real and not real reasons why you had a bad week. It's going to focus on all of the possible things that could go right. So what I'm saying is, the first part is awareness. You have to be aware that your brain is coming up with stuff, and it comes up with shit all the time. Have you not been in the shower and start singing a song that you absolutely hate? Or you're driving in traffic and all of a sudden something pops in your brain that's completely and totally random? That stuff happens all the time, right? You just have to be aware of it. So the minute that you become aware of it, you say, okay, wait a minute. I'm getting that sinking feeling that Coach Ceelo talked about. The next thing is, ask yourself some really good questions. So the question is, what were all the great things that I did that brought me to this point? It wasn't random. You didn't pop that level just because you were lucky. Sure, luck helps. Being in front of the right person helps. But if you weren't prepared for that moment, you wouldn't have been able to have gotten. And chances are, if it was a big check, it wasn't just one sale. I mean, for some of you maybe, but you did a lot of things right more times than not, and you rehearsed these things, and you got yourself to a point of self-development. You got yourself to a point where you're building rapport with people. You got yourself to a point where the sales were really making it happen, and it all came together. Now, does that mean that just by keeping that positivity in that level, you're going to stay there? No. But what it means is that how you interpret what happens next is everything. See, at that moment, you can understand that everything that you've done has gotten you there, and that you have to work really hard now to try and stay there because you don't want to go back down. But if you do, no big deal, because now you know what it takes and you can do it all over again. But that is a very different outlook than thinking, shit, I'm faking it. They're going to find out. I wonder if the customers are going to know. Is my sales manager going to figure out that I faked it, that I'm not who I said I was? Now you're doubting yourself. And again, it goes back to the limiting beliefs and to the sense of worthiness. And at the end, I'm going to tell you what you can do about those things, right? But I need you, that number one, to understand and be aware, so that when you have that feeling, you attack it. And how do you attack it? You attack it with the right questions. What did I do correctly to get me to where I'm at right now? Why? You're reinforcing all the things that you did to get there. Guys, this is super important. I am saving you months, if not years, of getting out of your own head. Many of you have never gotten to six figures exactly because of what I'm talking about right now. And those that haven't have stayed there, be honest with yourselves, because if not everybody, the grand majority of them have dealt with imposter syndrome. And by the way, this doesn't only happen in business. It happens in your personal life. What I'm teaching you right now, these tools, this will help you in so many other levels. All right? Now, there are ways of reinforcing yourself before it happens, because when you ask yourself those questions, the more things that your brain has to pick up and show you as proof, the better. So clearly, these are confidence issues and worthiness issues. And if you've got limiting beliefs with both of these, you have to break those to continue to do there. See, nobody told you that to become better at sales, you had to become better as a person. What everybody tells you is just learn this pitch, say this a bunch of times, and you're going to do fine. And yeah, you'll make a living. But if you want to be at athlete level performing in sales, if you want to make six figures when the rest of the United States isn't making six figures, then you've got to do athlete level training. And it all starts up here. And it starts with you finding out what your limiting beliefs are. Now, that's going to take a lot more than a podcast to do, guys. That's why I do coaching, right? So if you feel you've got those issues, reach out to me. I'm good at that. I'm like a sales surgeon. Matter of fact, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I've been holding back, but in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to put some of my testimonials out there. And the reason why I'm saying a sales surgeon is because the most of the people I've coached, by the way, which is horrible business for me, but everybody I coach, I'll do 1 or 2 sessions and they fly off the handle, right? So sales surgeon, because I'm very precise, I go right to where the wound is, we fix it, and we get you going. Now, probably going to end up calling me back at some point, right? But I'm just saying, bad for me, because eventually I would have loved to have done like a subscription-based model. But I'm starting to think I'm going to have to do, a one and done type sales model because I'm fixing everybody's problem within 1 or 2 coaching sessions. But hey, that's a whole other thing. So we're talking about limiting beliefs having to do with confidence and worthiness. Okay. First of all, let's talk about true confidence. I'm not talking about the cocky guy. By the way, the cockiest person in the office is usually the person with the greatest amount of limiting beliefs. The problem is that the way they conquer that is by overcompensating with the cockiness. And some of them may be assholes and some of them may not. But the truth be told, if they stopped being cocky at any point in time, their sales would plummet. So give them a break, even though you don't like them or you think they're an ass or whatever. A lot of the times, the most cocky person in the office has to be that way to be able to make the sales that they've got, because they haven't dealt with those limiting beliefs in other ways. They haven't eradicated them. And so they just got to steamroll through them. But that's a whole other thing. So what's true confidence? True confidence is when you know that you know that you know that you can do something and you're equanimous. So confidence with me equals equanimity. I don't care who I've got in front of me. This 90 minutes, we're going to have a great time because it's 90 minutes or 1 hour or 40 minutes of my valuable time. My time is very valuable. I make a lot of money. Now, I don't mean that in a cocky way. I'm just saying it's the truth. I don't say that to people, but this is in my head. So regardless of whether they're going to buy or not, I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to have a lot of fun interacting with this person. And I'm going to change their life in one way or another if they allow me to. And if they don't, they weren't at that moment in their life where they needed to be able to do that. But guess what? If they were, I wouldn't have missed it. That's confidence. That's equanimous. I don't care what the result is. I know who I am and I know what I'm doing. But how do you get there? Because you don't get there you get there by 2 ways. You get there by knowledge. Actually, 3. You get there, 2. Knowledge and experience. I was going to say practice, but practice is part of experience, right? So knowledge is just everything that I know and that I've studied. So I know that anything that they say, it's not the first time I've heard it. It's not the first time I've dealt with it. That sounds like experience as well, doesn't it? But if I don't have experience and I've studied it, at least I know I'm backed up by everything that I've studied and that I'm prepared for. Now, how it comes out, how I deliver it, how I handle it, whether next time I tweak it a little bit, I change it this way, there comes the experience. But once you've got both of those behind your belt, and you're never done with either, you're always creating more experience, you're always learning more things. So you've never arrived in that sense. But you get to a point where you know that you know that you know that you got this. That is the most important part of this whole concept here. Because if you get that, you're not going to get imposter syndrome anymore. You know who you are. You're centered in that. You're ready for it. You are good. Worthiness, that's a little different. Worthiness, if you've got issues from childhood or you've got issues with exes or spouses or whatever, man, sometimes the enemy's in the house. Sometimes you've got pissing matches with people that you live with and that you love and that love you. That's a whole, that goes a lot deeper. That's therapy type shit, right? But you've got to be able to, at least at minimum, hang that shit outside when you're dealing with work. And another thing with the worthiness is, if you've got already the confidence, the worthiness is the one that's going to creep up and create the issues. So you definitely need some help there, whether it's with therapy, with coaching, with something else. But that's where actually the calling in rich thing comes from. Because if you did that and then all of a sudden you gave yourself a much needed vacation, did you not work for that? Did you not deserve it? Yeah. It gave time for your body, your mind, everything to kind of get to that point where it realized that you do deserve it. By the way, that's part of your sales process too. You're going to have a lot of people that have limiting beliefs. So if you get, and this is next level, but if you get good at identifying and getting rid of your own limiting beliefs, man, what a great six-figure salesperson you're going to be. Because a lot of the people that don't say yes to you is because they've got their own limiting beliefs and their own problems with confidence and their own problems with worthiness. And if you build a big enough bond that you can call them out on that and you can coach them through that process, you're going to be a superstar. But for now, let's just focus on you. Guys, my name is Coach Ceelo. I have helped hundreds and hundreds of salespeople break through, reach, and most importantly, maintain six figures. You keep listening to me, you'll be the next.